Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our session today. This is definitely different than what we do usually. Normally, I would be welcoming everyone and then introducing the sponsor and introducing our presenters, but this is a different situation today. But I want to welcome you to our session on Brewing Brilliance, an adult education virtual coffee talk. And I am Steve Schmidt. I'm the COABE Professional Development Coordinator. And I am joined by Sharon Bonney, the CEO from COABE, and also with Shaketa Thomas, who is our COABE board president. And we're glad to have both of them. If either one or both wanted to say a few words.
Chiquetta, would you go first? I'll go after you.
Thank you so much. I am just happy to be here today. And I do like this format where we can engage with one another, have great conversations. So we hope to do more coffee talk. Steve, thank you so much for all the work that you're doing behind the scenes, pulling together everyone for our professional development efforts. So I'm just happy to be here. And Sharon, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see so many here for this coffee talk. I want to give a shout out to Sarah Higigi, who actually had this idea. She said, wouldn't it be great for the field to come together at this point and talk about what they're dealing with, the resources they're using, their best practices? So, Sarah, thank you for that. I also see another colleague here with us, and that's Dr. Adrienne Fontenot, and I want to give a shout out to her. She's our awards chair and vice president for membership. And I also want to say, I see a couple state directors on here who've been fabulous partners to COABE. So, Beth, thank you for joining us and others as well. So, we are going to turn this over to Steve to moderate. Shakette and I will be here if you have any questions, but we are really grateful to see you all here, and we hope to see many of you at COABE. It is turning out to be well over 2,000 in attendance, so we're excited about that. And we know that there'll be a lot of great ways to network and share with each other there as well. So, Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Shaketa. What is our purpose today? Well, this is a coffee break. So picture, if you will, that we colleagues are together and we are just discussing informally our work. And so we can talk about challenges that we're experiencing. We can talk about creative and innovative things that we're doing. And we can talk about things that have worked for us as we've worked for this past year about doing more with less and trying to achieve more with fewer resources. So these are some guiding questions. We're not totally limited to these. Usually these discussions are organic and kind of take on a good life of their own. So, things that we can talk about would be things like what's working in your program or classroom, or we've got state leadership here. What is working well in your state? This is not the time to be shy. You can talk about what are you the most proud of and why. And then also, we're here to learn from each other. So, what resources or expertise did you wish you had? And by the same token, what resources and expertise can you share? So this is not the time to be humble. This is the time to talk about the good things that you're doing. And having said that, we have now entered a positive thinking zone. This is not designed to be a gripe session. We have had many things that we could gripe about, but this is not this is not what we're here for today. What we're really interested in is what can we do, and how can we make the best of the situation, excuse me, that we're in. So only positive thoughts beyond this point. And I love this quote from Maya Angelou that we always in adult ed do the best we can until we know better, and then when we know better, we'll do better. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So that will add to the informal nature of what we're doing. I am going to go back and I'm going to put the guiding questions in the chat that we could use as a resource. And this is a Zoom meeting, so people can unmute and talk. And that is, of course, what we want folks to do today. So thank you for everyone who's introduced yourself in the chat. And if you haven't, please go ahead and do that. And I just placed the guiding questions inside the chat. And so the floor is open for folks to talk. And I know usually there's that awkward silence at first as the first person's going to come in and break the ice.
I'll do
And I
that.
know people are ready. So all right. So Dinesh, please go ahead and break the ice.
Thank you for hosting this session. I appreciate it very much, and I'm hoping to learn and share openly here. I'm in Buffalo, Niagara region, Western New York, and I've been directly involved with workforce development, professional development, adult learning for the last 2+ years. Prior to, I was involved just in the public sector, so indirectly affecting economic and community development. So what I'm learning in the last 2 years, which I kind of had an idea of, but now I really kind of understand concretely, is that we're all seem to be operating without proper context. And I'm not talking about you all. I'm talking about Western New York, Buffalo, New York, mid-state, even down to downstate. We seem to be operating in workforce development, professional development without taking an understanding of economic trends, industry rates, unemployment levels. We're not really looking at the context under which we operate. We're just kind of offering services. So in the spirit of Ms. Angelou and what Steve was saying before, not a gripe session. What I'm seeing is that very much moving past that limitation and recognizing that if no one else is not doing it, maybe I can use technology to our advantage and gather that data needed in order to be strategic with the resources, programming, and initiatives that we're pursuing. So if I just wanted to throw that out there and see if anybody else is doing something similar, if anybody's interested in doing something similar, I'm all about collaboration and not necessarily reinventing the wheel. I really believe that we're in an all hands on deck moment right now. And so I think, even though we might not be in the same state or province or region, there's plenty that we can collaborate on and share so that we can improve our little corner of the world. Thanks.
Thanks for breaking the ice. The floor is open.
Well, Dinesh, I'd like to jump in and offer some collaborative support. I'm the founder and CEO of the Management Academy and Train the Trades, and my work focuses on helping workforce organizations, training providers, and professionals connect skill development with real economic opportunity, which equals jobs. I do that in two ways. First, through workforce programs and initiatives that help organizations strengthen employer engagement and career opportunities. And second, I've been building a strategic intelligence ecosystem that tracks speaking opportunities, partnership proposals, and workforce initiatives across the industry so that experts and organizations like you and others here can actually identify real opportunities that exist and be able to share what you do with other organizations and others in the field. So I'm open to collaboration as well and sharing resources. And this is my first time attending this meeting, so I'm looking forward to meeting others and learning more.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
I can share next if there's nobody else. I don't hear anybody else. Tammy with Troy, Michigan, adult education provider. If you're Michigan, we use the thumb all the time. So we're like here. I am super proud of our IET programs. We have amazing integrated education and training programs here. And our workforce development and preparation is beyond that. Like we actually have our own college and career lab for our students, mainly ESL students that need that extra touch that above and beyond what Michigan Works can always necessarily have the time and energies to provide for them. Our next step, what I wish I could get into that we just hit roadblock after roadblock, is taking our IETs into pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship spaces. That's the gap that we keep running into that we just haven't been able to fill. But we are going to META, MEATA, at Mackinac Island, which is I don't know what it stands for. It's an apprenticeship training and teaching conference up north in hopes that we can figure out where we fit in, because we're just right there on the premises of that. And that's the next step where there's additional funding and the needs of our students are really geared toward.
Well, Tammy, there's a question from Sarah about what are some of your IET pathways, and maybe tell us a little bit more about your college and career readiness lab as well, how that works.
Yeah, so we do not have the normal ones that go to apprenticeship like plumbing and welding and all of those great ones. Like manufacturing, and we have health sciences like pharmacy tech, CCMA. We do CDA, which is Child Care Development Association. We do HR. We have an HR. We've had a Java. It varies between those like 7 opportunities each year, depending on the students that apply and who is eligible, which ones they fit in. We do get support from Michigan Works to pay for the trainings for those. And then our grants help pay for the adult education and the workforce preparation parts of that triangle. Our college and career workforce lab, we've created our own class we call Career Gateway, that it's like they're going into a job when they go into class, but the job is doing their work project for the job might be doing their resume, doing their cover letter, going online and creating their LinkedIn or submitting this or getting, so it's like a workforce place. They look at their attendance every day. They look at how much it costs if they're not there, like what it would cost a job to not be there on time, things like that. So it's like kind of getting them into what an American job looks like. Again, this is a high ESL population. They get a badge. They have to like scan in. I mean, we really try to make it feel as workforce as we can in a classroom environment. We have them do mock interviews with actual employers from around our county. And it's really helped them, like I said, because getting them even through that whole submitting an online application is very difficult for an ESL student who usually they go into someone's place and talk about a job in person and get that job. It's a whole different process here than what they're used to, or it's their first job. So we just have a great staff that really understand their needs, and we're highly focused in hitting their needs in there.
Great. And I know someone just put, Adrian Fontenot just put some good stuff in the chat that could help you on your apprenticeship journey there. And I don't know if Adrian wanted to add anything else, maybe talking about the good things Louisiana's doing in that space.
Yeah, it's so different state by state. That's what makes it difficult.
It is. And Tammy, we're making headway with our pathways as well. It really did help to I work at the state office here in Louisiana, to hire someone 2 years ago who is solely focused on that area. And she works in conjunction with our CTE Perkins folks here. So having those access to both groups, she can hold regional calls to convene, sometimes even our K-12 folks who are doing some pathways, our adult ed folks, and the CTE folks on our college campuses. We will have to attend some apprenticeship and pre-apprenticeship sessions. That's why I put them in here, because we are not quite there yet.
And what we find for apprenticeships, there's not a lot available, and the ones that are, our ESL students aren't going to be their first pick. A lot of them are going to businesses that they're having their own employees get skilled up, which is great, but then it doesn't leave space for that could be employee down the road to get that experience into that environment. So like they're doing a big push in Michigan for apprenticeship, but there's big gaps that have to be filled to
get there. Yeah.
So
I understand.
We're going to keep knocking at doors.
And Tammy, there was a question from Heather Sharp in the chat about what's been the reaction to that type of explanation relating things to time, expense when late for your ESL students. We've had that recommended recently to our instructors, and I'm curious about how well they understand. Is that easier for the higher levels?
So we don't do that in our ESL classes. We do that in this workforce preparation class called Career Gateway. So not every student is exposed to that. And our Career Gateway is typically like the intermediate to higher level ESL. It's not beginner, but they do end up creating like graphic charts that would probably be easy for an ESL person to see, like you're in a profit or you're in a negative, right? So you could make it pictorial, and it would be a lot easier for an ESL student to understand.
Thank you, Tammy. Who is next?
I could go. Hi, everyone. I'm Renelle Hernandez from the River Parishes Work Ready U. I also work with ESL students, and we actually just got grant money for our IEL CE pathway. And so I'm just piloting an 8-week civics and citizenship pathway, career pathway for our students. And so what we do, we have ESL classes from beginning to intermediate to advanced. We're pulling from that pool of students who are interested. Like I said, we just started it the beginning of the month, so I'm excited for that. We are using the USCIS civics test book, but we've also partnered with Burlington English, which is our platform that we use for students, and they're helping me with the modules, with building that curriculum because they already have that kind of lined up in their module 10 with it, which is government and law. So we're working closely with them, and I'm working with our ESL instructors. And I'm excited probably, let's see, about the end of it, which is around June. I will also have a follow-up to share what we've learned and I would love expertise and just help with that. So thank you.
Thank you, Raynell. And if anyone has that expertise and wishes to share or put their contact information in the chat to help Raynell, I know that would be appreciated.
Thank you.
Let's see, Sarah Hagigi, you had asked a question earlier. Did you want to ask your question and maybe we can get a little bit more context about what you were looking for there, please?
Hi, sure. Um, so I'm wondering how different programs are navigating these times that our language learner students are anxious in going out, going to classes, being seen in the public. And I'm wondering if any programs shifted virtually as the result to address the needs of students and how they navigated it.
Hey Sarah, this is Hannah. We've met before at another event. It's nice to hear from you. Thank you for those important questions. I'm a director of National Education Services for World Relief. We do refugee resettlement in the United States, and I help oversee 17 of our offices across the US, any adult education initiatives happening in those offices. But I also get this really unique side-by-side view with our immigration attorneys at the national level as well. And so I've been able to um, to take know your rights information that there's just a lot of information out there right now, a lot of like know your rights integrated with adult education or ESL resources like, hey, teachers, let's do this, know your rights in the classroom. And what I've been able to do is take any of the content and material that's being produced right now and take it to immigration lawyers within World Relief and say, can you vet this? Can you make sure that this is accurate information, that this would be shared correctly? And so I have a few resources that I can drop in the chat, but we are advising at the national level for our organization that we are teaching our students to memorize their A numbers, their alien numbers, and a phone number of one emergency contact that they can call. And every student is being asked to memorize those two things. And I can drop my email in the chat. And I understand like a lot of times I come from a community college background and our adult education, we didn't work with immigration lawyers. And so I think there is kind of a benefit that I've been able to get some really great resources from our lawyers. So I'm going to put a plethora of links in the chats to what our immigration attorneys have vetted as like very credible resources that we could share in classroom environments. But that doesn't necessarily mean like you all need to go through the proper protocols of your organizations and like should you be using this, but I can share what we've produced there. And then Sarah, you asked specifically about moving some classes online, and that has happened in a few places, a few of our locations. And we have advised through our safety and security officers to be using Signal as the primary communication tool with students. So we use Signal, and we also have made sure to choose some really like some online platforms, like online curricula that just have some easier on-ramps for students. So like an app that you can download. So there has been a lot of like technical support we've needed to give when moving students into online classes, but we will say like that has allowed our attendance numbers to be maintained. Or access to our classes haven't has now gone increased because people are able to stay home but get this resource that they really need, English classes online. So I'm going to start dropping things in the chat and I can share my email as well.
Thank you so much, Hannah. Very much appreciated.
Is it okay if I share something?
Please.
One of the things that I wanted to share is that, we have historically always, not always, I can't say that I've only been in education for about 8 years, but it seems like we were working in silos, and even though we have consortiums in California, I we still were working in silos. But what I will say is that with this current administration, let's just say that it's actually forcing us more to work together. We've done a lot more outreach in terms of working with outside of our scope, such as attending meetings like this and sharing our information, um, as well as a little bit more cohesive relationship in regards to like our city hall offices and so forth, and how we're all coming together to coalesce to ensure the safety of our students. I think as much as I am not crazy about what's going on these days, I do see that that's actually been a benefit in terms of partnerships and collaborations. And so this is so brilliant. Well, Brewing Brilliance, of course, it's helpful to be in a room like this and share the information that we have. And so I thank you very much for allowing me to participate.
Thank you for your comment. Very, very well stated. Thank you. The floor is open.
So I'm having a hard time with the initiative that I'm a part of is celebrating its 25 years anniversary, and I've been with them for 2 years. And we operate throughout New York State. We operate computer technology labs. And so what I'm identifying is that there's a disconnect between meaningfully impacting our local communities throughout whatever region we're in and what we're offering. So there seems to be a bridge that needs to be filled there, because what I'm seeing is like in Western New York, we're a part of the Rust Belt. And if anybody has any history around that, we essentially lost our industry over the last, I don't know, 70 so odd years. And so we never necessarily recovered. And so our workforce development, professional development, resources and services are geared to an industry that doesn't exist. If that makes sense, right? So you can get 1,000,001 certifications through my lab, but what jobs are in the area, right? You know what I'm saying? And so in exploring that, we weren't the only ones doing that. I identified that all workforce programs and initiatives, my community partners are doing the same thing. And essentially, we are the industry. So it's like we are kind of, I don't want to say self-perpetuating, but it's like, I don't understand how and if anybody can chime in from your own experiences, there doesn't seem to be an understanding of the scope. And so without scope, I don't understand how we can deploy resources and allocate time, energy, and strategy when we don't understand what the full nature of the problem is, whether it be GED rates or literacy rates or lack of or types of opportunity out there. If we don't know what's happening, then how are others dealing with that lack of understanding of the problem, but certainly providing a solution towards it?
I wonder if, Dinesh, if AI could help with some of this. I know that our consortium has run reports on data as far as like GED and high school diploma. We have 65,000 people just within our population, our city, that do not have high school diploma and GD. I'm not sure how they were able to find out that information, but that was information that was recently shared. Um, and I'd love to think that AI can help make our jobs a little bit more efficient, because I agree with you. You have to have the data. We do run surveys, community surveys. Soft skills continues to be at the forefront in regards to what employers are looking for. And that sounds kind of cliche, but it's the reality. They want people that are able to be able to communicate with their clients and their customers and their staff, with their community. So um, I can share what we have, but I'm in California, so it's a little different in terms of needs from where you are.
I threw it into the chat, but I didn't want to keep speaking. But if Ms. Garcia, if you can just share where you're from, maybe I can look into how they arrived at that data, and then I can reverse engineer it in my local community.
Bet will do. So, California.
To see problems getting solved and thoughts being shared and good things being shared in the chat. The floor is open.
I think Sharon and I had the same idea about the NASDAQ sheets. But I also wanted to mention, if you have a community action partner, they have a whole set of statistics that they use for the Community Action Network, that they can probably help you find some of that data if you're looking for it.
Floor is open for next comment, question, or sharing good things. I don't know, Glenda or Ashley, did you want to share some good things that are going on in Texas?
Just because you know us doesn't mean you get to call us out, Steve.
Too late.
My head is spinning. Glenda, do you have anything?
Well, I think one of the things that you're doing, Ashley, with the DEPDC is taking the bull by the horns on this AI thing. We were just sharing this morning an article that came out on Tech and Learning and talking about how important it is, even for our teachers who are hesitant. It's not going anywhere. So we need to teach students how to use it. We're actually going to be doing the second half of our pre-conference at COABE is going to be on AI with students. The first half's just in general digital literacy. But I think that's one of the great things that Ashley's team is doing is working on digital literacy and specifically AI literacy.
And I don't know if this really helps anybody, but we did just come out with a revised brand new version of a digital literacy toolkit that we spent the last year putting together. And it is a free resource to anybody, which can help all of our students and our staff tremendously. I'm pulling it up right now. I'll drop it in the chat if anybody would like to see it. And share it. Please share it.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you, Glenda. Who is next?
Hi, my name's Alethea. I'm working with Community Action Incorporated in Central Texas with adult education, ESL and GED. But on the on the ESL side, our organization has partnered with Upwardly Global, and it's a website that is really great. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping immigrants, refugees, and asylees with professional credentials restart their careers in the US. And it's a whole entire website. They have the organization itself, it would partner with you. And I'm looking at Mr. Danosh, it might be a great resource. These people already are coming to this country with degrees, and then they are looking maybe to go back into that field or go into a new field. So it's helping them with training and work job placement so they can have fruition into what they're working towards. And I know I've personally had a few of my students from the ESL class completed, and they also, I think, at some points will help them with their college. I'm not sure about all of the details of it, but I have directed a lot of my students to that platform, and they are very satisfied with the outcomes. So it's upwardly global. If you Google that, you can look at the website.
Thank you. Thank you. Floor is open.
Shakita asked about IET and corrections. We offer county correction support, and we have not been able to make that work there just because a lot of times they are not there very long. So you get someone in and then 30 days they're out. That would make more sense for like our prisons maybe than at the county, depending on how fast those certifications can be done. The ones that we have experience with are just too long, and we just ever since COVID, they're getting them out faster and faster. They haven't really, we wouldn't have a consistent group that we'd be allowed to work with because the highly violent, we're not allowed to work with in the jail. So it's been tricky for us to do. I do know other counties have found ways to do it, but I think every county is so different. And Oakland County is so large that I think smaller counties have had some luck with it.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for that response. And yes, that's what I hear a lot of times as far as when we do an IET. I know in our state prisons, we do have apprenticeships and pre-apprenticeship programs, but it's the IETs that seems to be a little bit more difficult to integrate inside of the correctional setting. So I am really interested to learn from anyone who is having success in that space, or what type of program did you implement, what worked, and what avenues maybe one can explore to make that successful. So thank you, Tammy, so much. I see some other stuff popping up in the chat. I can't read. I need to put my glasses on. That probably would help. But thank you so much, Tammy.
Christina, Kelly, I see you posted a resource in the chat. Did you want to expand on anything or mention anything else going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, yes, I was hoping you would notice that I snuck in, Steve. We've had a lot going on in Minnesota. Obviously, we've been in the news a lot, and we've been offering a lot of resources to other states in terms of working with situations created by ICE. We have a digital literacy team, state team, who has been creating resources and has been highly supportive of programs who are switching to high flex or have had to switch to high flex. We've got some programs that are doing all high flex down to the lowest level of student. I put something in there because the talk about the digital literacy skills. This is a curriculum that our program, our Lindale program in Minneapolis created because teachers were finding that North Star digital literacy was too high for some learners. And so I invite you to check that out. It's a free curriculum. They've presented at our state conference, and people really, really like it a lot. Yeah. that's pretty much what's going on here. I'm just listening. I'm also going to put a contact for IET and corrections, our Minnesota Department of Corrections. They've got some really good IETs going, and I'm going to drop the contact. She's right next to me in the office next to me, Carly Voshell, and she's our IET and Adult Career Pathway key person in our Minnesota system, and she would be a great person to connect with who could maybe connect anyone interested directly with DOC people who are running these IETs.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. And I see Glenda put in information about the DART curriculum that also helps in that space. So that's good stuff. Thank you there. The floor is still open.
This is more a systems level thinking, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there because I know we have some state level people on the call. One of the things that I think Texas has started doing that I think is really important is they're having this tri-agency alignment between the education agency, Texas Workforce Commission, which is where adult education is housed in Texas, and the Texas Education Higher Coordinating Board, which is the community college system. So that it's the no wrong door approach, so that regardless of which way someone comes in who needs our services for adult education, we can get them where they need to be without them having to refill out a bunch of paperwork. So that would be something that requires some state level coordination, but I think it's a model that a lot of the states we should be going to just because it's going to make it easier for our learners.
Thank you. Thank you, Glenda. Who else wishes to speak?
Steve,
Yes.
can I interrupt? Patsy Egan has been in the waiting room, and if somebody could let her in, because on more of a state level, she could share about Minnesota.
Yeah, just let her in.
Yep, see that she's.
So who else wishes to speak? Sharing a best practice, asking a question, sharing a resource. We've had a lot of good resources shared so far.
I guess South Dakota, our program in South Dakota is doing something kind of fun this month. It's not related to the things we've been talking about, but we are publishing our page on our website promoting our new volunteer training program. Hopefully, I'm hoping next week, but we worked with Monday.com, which has a really good program for nonprofits. I can't remember if it's free or very low priced, but it's worked really great as a place to put training for volunteers so we can get volunteers into our classroom faster to work with students and free up the time that the teachers, to find time to train the volunteers themselves has limited the number of volunteers that we've had. So we've been working on that for probably about a year, and that's going live soon.
Thank you for sharing, Nikita, and I hope that rolls out very well. The floor is still open. Who else wishes to share? Oh, I would share the questions again. Absolutely. I would be happy to do that.
And Steve, while you're sharing the questions again, I want to brag on someone in my office who took time to redesign our website, and I'll put the link in here. Sometimes our students are Googling, looking for us, and the information we have on our website is usually meant for us, not necessarily for our students. So she tried to break it down into different sections, some for our providers, some for students, and some for partners, with an FAQ section that lists some things like what's the connection between adult education and workforce? How can I partner with you? That type of stuff. So, and she loves working in Canva and making lots of visuals. So, shout out to Tracy. I'm going to stick this in the chat.
Thank you, Adrian. Who else is ready to speak?
Hi, Steve. I'd love to share a little bit of success that we're having in our adult ESL IELCE program here in Memphis. And it shows some promise with our workplace learning class. We have a partnership that's been really successful over the last couple of years with a distribution center here in Memphis. And our teacher has had some really great ideas on how to communicate directly with this employer so that the concepts that she's working on in the classroom can be communicated to leadership, to supervisors, to those who are involved in the workplace itself and who may interact with their employees who are taking the ESL classes we provide. And we're trying to move that into our pre-apprenticeship that we have with IUPAT. So there is that sort of further connection with prospective employers, with the employer, and we can get more feedback from them. They know what we're teaching. They can try and interact more with our ESL learners who are employed or who are being trained and want to join as an apprentice. And we can get that sort of conversation happening. And she has a lot of good ideas. We're really lucky with this instructor and exploring these sort of small program level means of getting that information across and how to generate feedback. And it's not just a survey that you send someone, it's the full conversation that you can have, and they can see a bit of the material and the kind of subjects and examples of what is it like for one of your employees to be in an ESL class? What is it like learning English? If they're at a certain language, what kind of support do they need? What kind of communication are they practicing?
Thank you, Heather. Appreciate you sharing that. Well, I know Xavier Munoz always has some great things to share, and he's been awfully quiet. Floor is open.
All right, Steve, I'll just briefly mention what I put in the chat for folks. Yeah, we're a community-based literacy organization, the English Empowerment Center, just outside DC. And I put some links to lesson plan materials that free to use. Anyone can use them if you want. We just ask that you fill out that jot form link so we get a sense of the reach. But again, there's no cost to access those materials. But we've had some excellent teachers with us over the years, of course, and one of them is particularly good at writing and developing lesson plans. A couple years ago, she wrote some lesson plans around mental health, really targeted towards kind of a beginner, high beginner-ish ESOL level, and did some intergenerational digital literacy lesson plans. And then these ones that I'm sharing, those AI literacy lesson plans. Basically, it's a set of Google Slides with a Google Doc lesson plan that sort of walks through the steps, and there's accompanying materials, handouts, and things to work on the vocabulary, have some targeted practice with one kind of general purpose Gen AI tool, with the thought being that teachers can use a different one of their preference, or they can help learners get familiar with the general sort of skill of prompting and iterating with the chatbot, and they can take that to other tools if they want. So we piloted this with some of our teachers in the fall. got some good feedback. Of course, the common feedback was this isn't suitable for low beginning, and that's always the common challenge, right? Is bringing these concepts down to any level of ESOL. But if you're not working with ESOL learners and are working with ABE, GED, or others, this might be helpful too, although probably very simple and wouldn't take quite as long to go through. So if you do try them out, would love some feedback. But if you fill out the form, I might reach out later to get your thoughts on it so we can improve it for the next round.
Thank you so much for sharing and sharing those resources. Very much appreciated. Well, Dr. Patsy Egan, now that you have come out of the waiting room and now that you're here, what would you like to share for the benefit of the group, please?
Sure. I'm not sure what all has been shared. I had another meeting previous, so I apologize. And I know better than to come after Javier Munoz, but here I am. So thanks for sharing that. I'm excited to look through those AI resources. A couple things come to mind. We have here in Minnesota a lot of work around trauma and trauma-informed care, so and trauma-informed instruction. So one thing I want to get out there is some work that a video that we put together last fall around traumatic stress in the brain and the effect of trauma, not just trauma, big T incident, but also like long-term kind of trauma writ broadly. That of course is prevalent and both for students and for teachers. So that's an important piece of work that we have now available as well as other resources. And then I don't know if it has come up, but Minnesota's been through a lot lately, and we do have some resources to share around what we have learned by having increased immigration enforcement in our state. If that's of interest, I can share some of those resources as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Atlas always does some amazing work, so that is very much appreciated. Looks like folks are saying, please share, please share. So thank
Will
you.
do.
Thank you. Well, I just had a thought, and again, I've been calling on some people, and of course, always feel free to say, no, Steve, I would rather not. Echo Salisbury, I know you're working in Maryland, as I recall, Department of Labor, and I know as Adult Ed is going to be working more with the U.S. Department of Labor. I wonder if you had any words of wisdom to share.
I don't have any words of wisdom to share other than I'm really appreciative of the conversations we've had today. I know one of the things that if you're not familiar with it already, I've connected with Hannah on this, as a matter of fact, with her work. But back in 2020, we published our digital literacy framework and then the digital literacy framework instructor implementation guide. We are working on updating and revising that content now because digital literacy contextualization, especially under the grant requirements, is something that our instructors are faced with as a challenge every single day. And so it's nice just to be here to hear the resources and see the resources that are being shared in that capacity. And thank you to Ashley and Xavier and everyone else who's put things in the chat. Outside of that, I think, I'll just, reiterate what people have said. We're in a really interesting time right now. And there are a lot of challenges that our students and learners are facing that they may not necessarily have had to deal with in the past or as strongly as they are dealing with it now. And so I just would like to reiterate, I feel like it was mentioned at the very beginning of this conversation about how this is an opportunity for us to keep on lifting up these challenges, keep on having connections and opportunities to network with each other to be able to provide the best services we possibly can to our adult learners. I know that there's been a lot of talk about apprenticeships and, trade schools and bringing back attention to vocations. And I think that's important. But at the end of the day, in order to access those programs, what do you need? You need a high school diploma. And you need to be able to have literacy skills to be able to address those challenges and be able to meet the workforce demands that we're currently faced with across the nation. So I just wanted to share that. I know that may not be exactly what you're looking for, Steve, but I'm just glad to be here. And if anybody wants to communicate or connect with me, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. We're always looking for opportunities to connect, and I just appreciate everybody's feedback today.
Well, thank you, Echo, and I'm happy to, whatever you wanted to share was what I was looking for. So thank you so much for that. Anyone else? We still have a few minutes. Anything you're dying to share or a question that's come up through the discussion?
Steve, if I may,
Go
I'd
ahead,
like to
Tim.
thread a couple of things together just so that we sort of keep our eyes on the prize. So I heard the reference to trauma-informed practices, and I just want to give a shout out to three of my graduates who reached out to me this week spontaneously and in a great example of synchronicity. I ran a trauma-informed GED high-set program for 30 years in Salinas in a place that has 35,000 adults without diplomas. And that data and how we track that data has already popped up in the conversation, but I wanted to tie it together. The three people who reached out to me, bachelor's degree in psychology, sound engineer, working in the Bay Area now making six figures, and a single mom who graduated from the University of Santa Clara. She just reached out to me to let me know that her daughter graduated from the nursing program up at Sac State, and that all of the stuff that we covered in class that was so critical and so much about the heart allowed her to be a supportive mom to her daughter in such a way that she could guide her through that education. And so now we have this impact that's multi-generational in the community. And just to put a little uh, asterisk on it, the mom who reached out to me to tell me that her daughter had graduated also just informed me that she herself is heading off to law school. And so it's the real deal, folks. If we get this stuff done well and we are there for our students in a way that matches their humanity and their needs and their willingness to show up and do the work with us, because they're very willing. And if we do it really well, it changes generations. So thank you all for the work you do. I just wanted to make sure that we saw our students from their viewpoint because they really want their stories to be told. They've told me time and time again. So thank you for giving me that minute.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tim. That was definitely worth hearing. Thank you so much.
Steve, could I just chime in real quick and say we love to capture student success stories. We have an award-winning campaign called Educate and Elevate, which is exactly what we do. We educate the public and elevate these stories. So I just want to encourage you to check that out and share those stories there. We also have an alumni longitudinal study where we're looking at the impact of adult education, for years. So if you have adult learners that are graduating, they can join this for free and there's actually benefits to it as well. So I'll put the links in the chat box. Thank you so much for sharing those stories.
And I
Sharon, I
just
know
wanted
you've
to echo
done.
that. I'm sorry, Steve. I just wanted to echo that, Tim. Way to put an icing on the cake to what I think has been an awesome hour, a well-spent hour of time together. And I'm gonna echo what Sharon was saying. Tim, if you could connect us with that learner, that is such a powerful and impactful story. We know that these things are happening every day inside and outside the classroom from the work that we're doing. And so kudos to you, Tim, for sharing that story, but also to the mom and her daughter. So I would love to hear more and see where that goes. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Shaketa. And I wanted to ask Sharon, I know you've done some listening tours or been out in the field recently. Did you want to share to close us out today, share any thoughts, any reactions to what you saw as you traveled around in various places out in the country?
I would love to share about that. The first thing I want to say is you all are the heroes. You're the frontline workers. You're doing amazing work. And we at COABE are so impressed and encouraged and inspired by your work. I can't really even put it into words how we feel and how supportive we want to be of you. So as you're thinking about these different challenges, email us. Send us an email. I mean, I just want to harken back to Sarah Higigi, who reached out and said, wouldn't it be great if we had a way people could get together? And here we are, we're together, right? So share your ideas with us for how we can support you in your work. We are going to be looking for ways also to work with Congress on ensuring that adult education isn't swallowed up by Title I. So we're working very hard on that, working with the state directors as well on that. We would welcome your input. We're working on the testing piece. We want to hear from you. What's not working with the test? Tell us about this. I guess what I'm trying to communicate to you is we value you. We are so appreciative of the work you're doing. We're amazed by the adult learners and the progress they're making on a daily basis, working against many barriers. Our goal at COABE is to uplift the learners, to uplift the teachers and the local programs that are serving the learners. So please think of us as that, as a partner, as a resource, as a friend. We're here to support your work. I also want to say what I saw in the field, and I thought it was just remarkable. When that state director is working closely with the state association, and the state association is working closely with the local programs, and the local programs are working with the employers, it's magic. I mean, the work that gets done in those states, and I do want to call out Beth Little from Mississippi because she does amazing work in her state. When you see a good state director and a state association that's working closely together, with those local programs and the programs working with the employers, we are making pathways for our adult learners. We're making opportunities for them. So I really want to put that out there. I want to say if you're part of your state association's a member of COABE, and that means you have free membership in COABE. There's a lot of free benefits. Lastly, and not leastly, those adult learners. There are tons of benefits. Free life insurance, for example, the opportunity to be a part of our Students as Leaders initiative, for example. That was one of the winning strategies I saw in the field when we would go talk to lieutenant governors and members of Congress, and they brought their adult learners who had participated in the ambassador program. That was amazing. It was amazing to see. So that's a free opportunity for your adult learners. All of your learners in your program can become members of COABE for free. So I would say as I went to 14 different states and met with many different local programs, many state leaders, many members of Congress, to me that thread was that kind of carried through all is when we're working together, that collective impact for our learners is remarkable. So that's what I want to encourage you with today is that you all are doing great work. The fact you showed up today and you're here to share is awesome. We know we've got challenges. We're here, we're in it with you, we care about you. So send us your emails. Shaketa and Adrian on our executive committee can tell you, we think about them all. We try to find ways to bring the field together and network at every opportunity we can. So I will close out with this. I'm going to put it in the chat box so it'll go out to you all following this. If you haven't yet registered for COABE, we have many grants available. We would love to see you there. It's a great way to get together with others just like you in the field of adult education and to feel the love of the family, the COABE family, as we all support each other. So thank you, Steve, for the opportunity, and thank you, everybody, for making time to come here together today.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you so much, Shaketa. And I'll put information about the registering for the conference here in the chat. And so that is there. But this was great. I was really wondering what the participation would be like, how many we would have, and we've had really strong participation, and things really worked well organically where people shared challenges and shared resources and people helping people. That's what we are all about in adult education. So I think we should hold more of these periodically throughout the year. I think they would be very much welcomed by the field. And this session will be recorded as well and will be available on the professional development resource section of the website. So that will be available 24 hours after the end of today's session. But thank you so much, Sharon and Shaketa, and thank you so much, everyone, for being here and especially for those who participated and shared resources, whether you unmuted and talked or shared things in the chat. All were welcome, and thank you so much. And we look forward to the next time we can do something like this. Thank you, everyone.